Hi, my name is Tyvis Powell, former Ohio State Buckeye and national champion DB. Welcome to the Buckeye Cast. These guys was born and bred in the Buckeye State, and they like to talk Buckeye football and drink bourbon. Subscribe to the show. Now pour up a drink and pull up a stool. Here's your host, Joe Warwick. Get him, Joe.
What's up? Welcome into your Buckeye Rush Hour for a Friday, November 8th, 2024. Thank you for joining me. It's lovely to see you today. You know what November is? November is for contenders, and I think we're contending. I'd like to say I think we're contending. So we're going to do our 5 keys to a Buckeye victory. Obviously, it's more like things I'm looking for, not exactly keys to a victory. This should be a walkover kind of game, roll the helmets out there kind of stuff. No disrespect, Purdue fans. Bring your big-ass drum into the shoe. Get some photos with it. Great. All right. Roll it back on out of here. Anyway, and then we're going to do our best bets for tomorrow. I do have one for tonight. So, hope you'll play along with me. I don't know about you guys. I am doing very well. I had an excellent week last weekend, and we're just going to continue that momentum, roll right into week 11 already. Jesus. But it may be week 11, but we could potentially have 9 more games. I don't know if you've heard that. It seems like everybody's saying it. So it must be true, right? So I do have a question for the chat, and this is debatable in my opinion. I could go either way on this. I'm going to drop it into the YouTube chat. But my question for the chat, if you're watching on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, the question for the chat is, will the Cheaters make a bowl game this year? Currently, the record is 5-4. They just need one more win. 6 wins gets you in. 3-3 in the Big Ten so far, so not great. Michigan has not made a bowl game twice in the last 14 seasons. They went 2-4 in the COVID 2020 season. Remember when they didn't play us? They would have gone 2-5 that year. Then 5-7 in 2014, Brady Hoke's last season. So those were the 2 years in the last 14. So coming up this weekend, we know they got number 8, Indiana. Yes, I said number 8. I know, it's 2024, man. What do you want from me? I didn't think Indiana would be any good. We'll find out how good they are this Saturday. But so the Cheaters are at Indiana, so they make that long trek to Bloomington, Indiana. Then they have a bye week. So the Cheaters have a bye week. Then they get geared up for Northwestern. That's at Ann Arbor. In Ann Arbor, that's a home game for Michigan. Then, of course, November 30th, it's a reckoning day in Columbus. Come in and get your faces stomped in. So all they have to do is win one of those 3. At Indiana, home against Northwestern, at the Buckeyes. Can they win one of those 3 and become bowl eligible? I'll give you my opinion later, but looks a little dicey. If you can beat Northwestern, that's really what you're hanging your hat on. What Michigan fan went into this season? Boy, we just have to beat one of the 3, Indiana, Northwestern, or Ohio State, to make a bowl game. Oh, hell yes. I love it. That's how things are going up in Ann Arbor nowadays. So, all right, let's get into the 5 keys for a Buckeye victory. Number 1, we got to establish that run game. I want to see continued dominance by that O-line and the emotion they brought against Penn State. I want huge games for Quinshawn, Trey, even James Peoples, and maybe even you mix in Sam Williams-Dixon. He lost his black stripe recently. So stay tuned for my best bets. I do have some player props that might relate to that. You do have the Alabama commit 2025 running back Turbo Rogers on his official visit, visiting Columbus and the Buckeyes. So might be a good day to lean on the run game. I don't know. And we also need that O-line to continue to gel and work on things together. They were far from perfect last week with moving Donovan Jackson out to left tackle and bringing in Carson Hinsman. Still plenty of area for improvement. And so, treat this like an O-line practice. I just want to see continued dominance and get that run game rolling. So we need some momentum in that area. Key to a Buckeye victory number 2. Please drop your comments and questions in the chat. I will get to them, I promise. I forgot to do one thing. Sorry. I got to take a break. 1 second. I got to copy that. 1 second. And edit. Oh, it's good to be back home. Got back home last Sunday afternoon. Did the evening show with Jeff and just Jeff. Sean's in Japan. I wonder when Sean gets back. Probably should find out. Anyways, drop your comments and questions in the chat. Let's see. We got a few viewers out there, so don't be shy. Anyway, continuing on with our 5 keys. Key to a Buckeye victory number 2. This is for the defense. Kill the quarterback. Kill the freaking quarterback. You're going to see at least 2 quarterbacks. Hudson Card is their starter, but they do like to bring in the other guy. Brown, is that his name? I don't know. So this could be a pad your stats kind of day for the D-line. Let's get the young guys in there. Rotate them in. K-Mac, Hero in his canoe. Let's even get the young guys like Jason Moore, who hasn't seen a lot of action. Will Smith Jr. Let's get those guys in there. There's no reason we can't get into the 2s and the 3s along the defensive line here. So this weak blocking offensive line for Purdue is a real problem. They have allowed 72 pressures as a team. Their right tackle, decent against the pass blocking, but he's allowed 16 on his own. Then their left guard, he's allowed 13, and then their other guard, he's allowed 11. They don't allow huge sack numbers, just 11 on the season, so about 1 per game, but they do allow some hits. Again, the right guard allows, he has 4 hits he's allowed on the quarterback. As far as their grades go, the 2 guards, left and right side, are the weakest links here, right up the gut. So I think this might be a good day. I don't think we need to play Tyleek in this game, by the way. They say he's healthy or he's okay, good to go. Why play him? Let's get this guy healthy for the Indiana and the Cheaters games coming up. Let's just, pump the brakes there. And against the blitz, Hudson Card here, this guy, he's not good. Most quarterbacks aren't good against the blitz, but you would think a guy of his experience would be better, like a Will Howard. He's really good against the blitz. But Hudson Card is 47.9% completion percentage against the blitz. He's been blitzed on 59 dropbacks, so he's not getting lit up too bad, but he's just wildly inconsistent and inaccurate. When he's under pressure, 41.5%. That includes just rushing 4 or being blitzed. So he gets even worse when your front 4 is in his lap, which makes sense. And he has 3 picks under pressure. Now, Hudson Card, looking at his depth here, where he's locating the ball, they don't throw any screens, which you would think they would try with that Maccabee, the running back. We'll get to him in a minute, but they really don't throw a lot of screens. They throw short over the middle a ton. 29 of 39 between 0 and 10 yards, right over the middle of the field between the numbers. So then out to the right, 8 of 12, but they're not lighting up the scoreboard either. I mean, 1 TD, 1 pick in 0 to 10 right in the middle of the field. Then 10 to 20, 11 of 16 right over the middle of the field, 1 TD, 1 pick. So these numbers are not intimidating at all. Again, they've run 18 screens on the season. That's not much out of 173 plays, passing plays anyways. So play action, they don't use a lot of play action. 130 drop backs, they go no play action. So yeah, and again, the passing depth, Hudson Card's not great. I mean, he's at like 30% over 20 yards, but they do attempt quite a few. They've attempted, what do we got here, 20, and they've completed 6. So yeah, not great. But so Keto Buckeye victory number 2. Kill the quarterback. I don't care who it is back there. Blitz him, light him up, whatever it takes. And I think the interior D-line is going to have a field day. All right, Keto Buckeye victory number 3. Run defense. Now you got Devin Maccabee, mother-loving Maccabee, and Reggie Love the third, Coffee Black. He is a transfer from Illinois. So looking at these guys, rushing. So let's see, attempts. Maccabee's got 91 rushing attempts on the season. Reggie Love 61. So they got a little two-headed monster going on here. But these guys just have a total of 5 touchdowns between them. If you remember last year, Maccabee had a touchdown catch. They use him in the passing game as well. So, but Maccabee does get some breakaway runs, and he does break some tackles. Excuse me. I forgot the kerosene. Forced missed tackles. Maccabee has 24 on the year. That's impressive. And Reggie Love has 19. So these guys run hard. Yards after contact, Maccabee's 3.7. Reggie Love is almost 4 yards after contact. That's huge. Carries over 10 yards. Maccabee has 15, and Reggie Love has 12. So, again, we got to shut down this run, and we got to tackle linebackers. I'm looking at you, Sonny. Sonny, wrong styles. Sonny, Cody, and you're going to see a lot of Arvell Reese, I would think. And you may see some more. You're going to get into the two deep here against this Purdue team. So you're going to see some C.J. Hicks probably. We got to tackle. Cannot slide down the stripper pole on these guys. Again, in the run game, the left tackle and left guard are the weakest links. So you got to let me pull that up. Yeah. Center's decent, 70, but the left guard is a 60. Left tackle is a 60 as well. So those are your targets there. Their tight end, number 86, he's a 55. So they're not getting a lot of help. So got to shut down this run game, and I think you're going to have a lot of success again with those D tackles up the middle, getting into the backfield, disrupting plays, stopping them before they get going. So that's Keto Buckeye victory number 3. Keto Buckeye victory number 4. Work on the deep passing game with Will Howard and the receivers. Let's air this thing out. Let's send some guys deep. On the season, we just have 20 attempts, and that's sad. If you have the same number of deep ball attempts as Purdue, who has no receivers, that's not good. So we have completed 11 of the 20, so we're at a much better clip than the Boilers, but still, got to be better. Like I mentioned earlier, Will Howard, 71% completion when he's blitzed. So we should have time. This D-line is nothing to write home about. So let's work on this pass game, deep balls with Carnell, JJ, everybody, and Mecca, of course. But let's get the ball deep, and work on this. Let's see some consistency. We aired a few out last week. JJ gave up on one because he thought the ball was going somewhere else. Carnell probably didn't need to high point that ball because it would have landed right at the sideline, right? If he would have let it go and hit the ground, it would have landed on the sideline. It would have hit chalk. So he should have probably turned and caught it on the run. Anyway, so looking at targets for the Buckeye passing game, targets, you got a Mecca leading the way, 59, Jeremiah, 53, Carnell, only 26. So quite a fall off there from the top two to everybody else. Quinshawn has 14, Ennis, 13, and then G. Scott, 12, and then everybody comes in under 10 there. So we gotta work on this deep ball passing game, and let's do some damage through the air. Get the people out of their chairs. So that's number 4. Key to a Buckeye victory, number 5. This is the entire game, all 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams. Prepare for the kitchen sink. We know how this operation goes. We've seen this a million times before. Teams look at this as their Super Bowl, and they will pull out all the stops. Excuse me. Since the head coach, Ryan Walters, took over, excuse me, Jesus Christ. I swallowed a bug. No. Since Ryan Walters took over the play calling duties on offense, essentially they fired the offensive coordinator. He took over. They've been running at least one gimmick play per game since then, so expect that. On defense, you're going to see some unusual alignments probably. In special teams, be ready for fakes, onside kicks, the whole 9 yards. It's going to happen. It's just you got to be ready. And you can't fall asleep at a kind of a snoozer, kind of nooner game. Everybody's still a little fuzzy, crust in your eyes. You got to be ready. Everybody must be ready. Because if you show a weakness on special teams like we have, teams are going to use that down the road. If they see somebody, a weak link on special teams or whatever, they're going to attack that. So we got to be ready for all aspects. So rewinding and recapping here, 5 keys to a Buckeye victory. The things I'm looking for: number 1, establish the run game. Let's have a clean offensive line execution in the run game. Bring that emotion too. Number 2, kill the quarterback. Whoever is quarterbacking back there, you're probably going to see at least 2. Up the middle is going to be wide-ass open, so think about linebacker blitzes occasionally. Think about D tackles, getting a push, and then maybe we'll get some DNs running some twists, some stunts, some more creative shit like they did against Penn State. Key to Buckeye victory, number 3, run defense. Shut down Maccabee. These guys aren't killing it in the run game, but you don't want them to put together a drive. As a team, they're rushing for 1,300 yards. So let's squash that. And again, the D tackles are going to feast in the backfield. Number 4, work on the deep passing game with Will and the receivers. Let's just unload it until your arm falls off. And then, of course, key to Buckeye victory, number 5, be ready for the kitchen sink all day long. Weird shit's going to happen, and you just can't let these guys have an ounce of momentum, or I don't want to see a smile on their faces. These guys are not ready. They just don't have the dudes, So, what else? All right. We'll get to your comments and questions in a bit. You're welcome to drop your score predictions in there. I do have the Buckeyes on my best bets, so I will get to that. We will do them last. Got a couple player props. So I know some states don't allow that crap for some reason. It's kind of stupid, but whatever. Kind of a lazy, quiet Friday. People getting ready for a weekend of apple picking, pumpkin patching, shit like that. Sounds awesome, right? I'm just happy. Did you know? I'm happy. I'm happy as a pig in shit to be back home. Did you know the texture of a ceiling? There are options. We had popcorn. That was the texture of the ceiling. It's just white, but it had more bumps. Now we have orange peel. Not very different. So use your imagination there. Just wanted to get that off my chest that we went orange peel instead of popcorn. I don't know. Fruit versus snack. I don't know. Fruit versus vegetable. Oh, which one's healthier? I have to ask my wife. That's her bag. Anyway, I will get to your questions and comments, scores, and everything. Let's start off with our best bets. Week 10, I went 7-3. Hell yes. That makes me 53 and 43. Well over 500. I will enjoy that. I should probably stop now. But no, I can't. So last week, we lost on the Nebraska, UCLA at Nebraska game. Nebraska took one in the face. They were touchdown favorites. Lost. I won the Oregon minus 14.5 at the Cheaters. They covered that easily. I did lose on my player prop, Davis Warren, the Michigan QB, under 128.5 passing yards. That's my one bet I have made every week since week 1 is Michigan QB, whoever it is, under the passing yards, whatever that is, and then Iowa QB, whoever that is, under whatever the number is. It's done pretty well for me all year. I'm well over 500 on that one. Okay, moving on. I lost on Georgia, Florida versus Georgia in the cocktail party, minus 14.5, losers. Carson Beck sucks. Then we won on Indiana, minus 7.5 at Michigan State. We won on Wisconsin, Iowa, over under 41. We won on Brendan Sullivan, Iowa quarterback, under 143.5 passing yards. See? Hits. We won on Kentucky, plus 17.5 at Tennessee. Made it a tight one. And then we won 2 bets on the Buckeye game, minus 3.5. Or wait, no. Yeah, minus 3.5. And then the under 46.5. So let's roll this momentum into week 11. Love a little mo cardio. So tonight's game, we have a Iowa at UCLA in Pasadena, the Rose Bowl. So this is a 9 o'clock on Fox. I will be in bed by then, I can guarantee you that. So this is my Iowa QB under the passing yards. He has the under 131.5 passing yards. So we're taking the under there. I don't know what's gotten into UCLA. They act like they give a shit now. Whatever. We'll see what happens there. So Iowa going out to the Rose Bowl, and not because they're in the Rose Bowl. All right, now, your Saturday games. Starting off with noon on ESPN. Number 4, Miami, yes. What world do we live in where freaking Miami is ranked 4th and Indiana is ranked 8th? Indiana and Miami are in the top 10. What the hell is happening here? Our pets' heads are falling off. Anyway, Miami undefeated. Kidding me. Is Jimmy Johnson coaching this team? What the fuck? Anyway, so undefeated Miami at G-Tech in Atlanta. G-Tech's 5-4. We might remember them from beating up on Florida State. So I got Miami minus 10.5 for the game. Oh, I probably should pull up the stats. That would be helpful. I actually have the matchup stats here somewhere. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, Canes are putting up serious points. 46.4. That's number one in the country on offense. G-Tech is allowing 24.4. That's 57th in the country. Yards per game, Miami's first. G-Tech's 46th in opponent yards allowed. Now, yards per play, Miami again, first in the country. G-Tech, 77th yards per play. So I think running the ball, this is kind of a stalemate. Miami runs the ball at 182 per game. G-Tech allows 124, so that's 33rd, 39th versus 33rd. But passing the game, we know Cam Ward he likes to whip it around the yard. They are second in the country in passing the ball, 376 per game on offense. And then this is where G-Tech loses it for me. They're 70th in the country in opponent passing yards per game. So I got to take Miami with the 10.5. I know they add the hook there. So I still think Miami's going to walk right through these guys. But I am taking the under. I don't think G-Tech is going to match and make this a ball game. So I think this is a Miami blowout, honestly. So under 63.5 on the Miami versus Georgia Tech game. All right, next up, we got Florida. That's my East Coast accent, my New Jersey accent. We get a lot of those around here. Anyway, Florida is going to Texas, where they're going to get their face kicked in. Florida offense, I don't care if DJ Lagway's playing or not. These guys only put up 27 points a game. Texas is number one in the country in opponent points per game, yards per game, yards per play, everything. They're number 7 in third down conversions by their opponents. They do not allow shit. Florida does not do shit. So this is toast. Florida's 90th in the country in yards per game on offense. And then their defense sucks too. They're 91st in opponent yards allowed. They allow 407 per game to their opponents. That's a recipe for disaster. I think Texas and Quinn Ewers get healthy this week, get back to normal. Spread's 22.5. Take Texas. This is going to be easily a four touchdown win, and I don't think this is ever close at all. So that's a nooner on ABC. 3:30 on ABC. You got number 3 Georgia with their one loss at number 16 Ole Miss. If you notice, I do want to point something out and pat myself on the back, not literally, but I only choose games that matter. I don't choose, except for that Iowa game. That's my player prop that I must play. That's standard operating procedure. But I go with games, and I give you my takes on games that matter. I'm not giving you Sun Belt picks because I like UTSA or something. So, anyways, just wanted to note that. So we got Georgia Ole Miss. This is in Oxford, Mississippi, down to the SIP. Come to the SIP. Looking at this matchup, this one offensively is actually in the favor of Ole Miss. They put up more points per game, 37.9. Georgia puts up 31 on offense. Now, Mississippi's defense, not bad. They're 6th in the country, if that's a 6, yeah. In points allowed by their opponents, just 14.9. We know Carson Beck likes to throw it around to the other team. Was he 2nd in the country in INTs to our own Kyle McCord, formerly of Columbus, Ohio? But Georgia, one thing that stands out to me, their offense, besides the turnovers and all that shit, the obvious, third down conversions. These guys do not convert third downs. 37% of third downs they convert on offense. Now that is also Ole Miss's strength on defense. They're 9th in the country allowing a 31% conversion rate on third down. So this is going to be a low-scoring affair, I think. I'm definitely taking the under on this game. And what's the spread here? Georgia -3. I'm taking Georgia with the win, but under on the under 56, definitely. Georgia's defense is good, but it's top 20 in most categories, like opponent points per game, opponent yards per game, opponent yards per play. You know, they're top 20 in all those, but Ole Miss, yards per game, they're number 3 in the country. 529, man. So I think this could be a defensive struggle. I don't see either team lighting up the scoreboard unless turnovers get involved. Then, different story. I was looking at their turnover values here. Ole Miss's turnover margin per game on their defense, they're 20th in the country. But Carson Beck and Georgia's offense is 87th in turnover margin on offense. That's the real difference here. So, again, take Georgia -3. I think Kirby gets it done. He usually gets it done in big games, pushes whatever buttons he has to, reduces the number of passes by Carson Beck, maybe. I don't know. Maybe run the ball more. That seems like an angle. And take the under. I think it's going to be a tight one. That's what she said. I am coming to your comments and questions, so keep loading them in there. 3:30. Continuing with our best bets, the Cheaters, 5-4 on the year, 3-3 in the Big Ten. At number 8, Indiana. Again, what world are we living in here? Bloomington Memorial Stadium, Indiana, favored by 14.5. Now, before we get rolling on the matchup, this is one of my player props. Like I mentioned, must play Michigan quarterback under passing yards. So this week, Davis Warren is the starter. He got the job back because he's so freaking awesome. Under 154.5 passing yards. So play that and play that well. Now, looking at the matchup, holy shit. When Michigan has the ball, they're 104th in the country in points per game, 124th in yards per game. This is ugly. Yards per play, 108th, 4.9 yards per play. And the IU defense. Now, I listen to the argument. IU defense is top 10 in opponent points per game they've allowed, opponent yards per game, opponent yards per play. They're even good on third down conversions. They're 39th. Now, the issue here is, and I'm going to come back to that matchup, Indiana hasn't really played anybody. It's the classic who have they played thing, you know. Their schedule, their resume thus far, strength of schedule played so far is 104th. So, yeah, I can rattle them off to you. It's a who's who of garbage schedules. FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State. Now, they did smoke Nebraska, but I thought Nebraska was a decent team. They've had a rough go of it in the last few weeks. They've done well against garbage teams, but Michigan State, they crushed. Washington beat by 2 touchdowns. So they're doing it. They're doing it, Harry. Now, IU's offense going against this Michigan defense. The Michigan defense is not the defense of last year. Sans Connor Stallions, they are allowed. Let's see, they're 45th in the country in points per game allowed, 23.3. IU's offense is 3rd in the country, right there with Miami in most of these offensive categories. Yards per game, 448. Michigan is allowing 345. Rushing yards per game. Indiana, I thought they were a little better. They're only 44th, 176 per game. The Cheaters allow 110 per game. That's 19th in the country. But where they're lacking, I think where Indiana can really put some yardage up and some points is in the pass game. Indiana's pass game, 24th in the country. Michigan's pass game, without Will Johnson again this week, looks like he might be making business decisions to me. Anyway, their pass defense is 79th in the country. They allow 236 per game through the air. So that's where I think Indiana can really gouge these guys in their passing game. And Rourke, I think he's going to light it up. I think he's going to light up this defense. So I'm taking Indiana minus 14.5. Even with the hook, I think this might be a blowout, maybe a 3-touchdown win. And again, Davis Warren under 154.5. All right, next up, we got an evening game here with Terps and Ducks. You got Maryland going out to Autzen, Oregon. It's a 7 p.m. What channel is this? BTN. So Maryland is typical Maryland, only they don't have a decent quarterback. 64th in the country in points per game, 27.3 they're putting up. And the Oregon defense, we saw it up close and personal. These guys are top 10 in most categories. And they're really good in third down conversions, just allowing 34%. Maryland's offense, 27.3 per game, that's 64th. Yards per game, 424.4, that's 35th, which is a little surprising. But they're doing it all through the air, and I don't know if they can survive on that. They're 8th in the country, Maryland is, in passing yards per game, 311. Rushing yards, they're 108th, though. I think this Oregon defense is way too good to allow 300 yards passing to a Maryland team. So then Oregon, we know what their offense is all about. They're top 20 in most offensive categories, top 10 in a couple. Yards per game, they're 7th in the country. Points per game, they're 15th. Third down conversions, they're 2nd in the country. So they're going to run the ball. They're 43rd. They put up 176 on the ground with James. And then the passing game, they put up almost 300 yards passing per game. And Maryland does not have the defense to work with that. Maryland might shut down the run a bit, but a home game at Autzen, and a passing defense that's 128th. Maryland's defense is. That's a recipe for disaster. So I'm taking Oregon minus 14.5. Again, another big blowout, I feel. Oh, that's for the first half. I'm sorry. For the first half, take Oregon minus 14.5. For the game, take Oregon minus 24. So Oregon covers both there. Next up, this is a big one. Elimination game, they say, for the playoffs. Number 11, Alabama, at number 15, LSU. These two teams are not exactly where they thought they would be to start the season. This is in Baton Rouge, Tiger Stadium, 7:30 on ABC. This is going to be nutso. You know how they do it there with the lights, and I get Tourette's just watching all those lights go off. I couldn't imagine being there in person. So looking at this game, this is kind of, in some cases, an even match game. Alabama's offense is ranked a little higher in quite a few categories, but then their defense is a little lower in some categories. So points per game, Bama's 12th in the country. They're putting up points. LSU's defense, 44th in the country. They allow 23 a game. Yards per game, Bama's 29th, putting up 432. LSU, not so great. They're allowing 370 yards per game. That's 56 in the country. So kind of strength versus weakness there, Bama to LSU. We'll see what they do play calling wise. I'm curious if they let Milroe really let it all hang out and run around and scramble and whip the ball. Dude throws frickin' laser beams, man. Jesus. I don't know how anybody catches a pass from him. It looks like it's going to go through the guys. Anyway, yeah. Rushing, I wonder if they're going to run the ball a little bit more. Bama will. 177 on the ground. That's 41st. LSU's defense is 40th in the country, allowing 128. So strength versus strength there. And then passing the ball, again, Milroe whipping it all over the field. 255. That's 41st in the country per game. And then LSU's pass defense is not great. They're allowing 242. That's 86 in the country. Turnovers, Bama does better. They're 12th in the country in turnovers. LSU is 55th. But when LSU has the ball, I think they're going to try and throw it with Nussmeier, whip it around the yard. Points per game, they're 34th, but yards per game, they're 11th. So they'll drive on you and get some chunk yards, but they can't punch it in. Their red zone scoring is 72nd in the country. That's 84% of the time in the red zone they score. Now, Bama's is not much better on offense. They're 91st in the country. So, kind of, again, two weaknesses here, one for each team. Rushing the ball, LSU sucks at running the ball, 103rd. Throwing the ball, they're 6th. So, I think LSU tries to whip it around, but I'm taking Bama minus the 3 for the game. That one might be a tight one, too. Could be a lot of turnovers in that one as well. All right, we got three more. I'll get to your questions and comments. I'll go fast. Florida State, Notre Dame. This is 7:30 on NBC. Florida State 1-8. Puke in my boot. Does anybody really care about this game? The only reason I put money on it is because Notre Dame's ranked 10th, and they're probably going to make the playoffs. Join a conference, pussies. Anyways, FSU in most categories is almost dead last in points, yards, on offense, everything. Third down conversions, horrible. Notre Dame's defense, top 10 in all of those categories. So now Notre Dame's offense, not bad. 17th in points, 47th in yards. But the FSU defense is in the top almost 80th in those categories they're allowing. So this is an easy win for Florida State. For Notre Dame, sorry. Notre Dame minus 26, odd number there, but it's typical. Take Notre Dame minus the 26, probably a 4-touchdown win. I don't think anybody on Florida State even cares anymore. I think they've all checked out mentally. So going back here, last one before we do the Buckeye game. Washington at Penn State. This one's intriguing to me. It has a lot of playoff implications here for Penn State. Washington's 5-4. We know the Knits are 7-1. This is at Beaver Stadium, so you got again a West Coast team coming east, 8 o'clock on the cock, and Washington. Penn State's favored by 12.5. Now this is interesting to me because Washington's defense here is better than you think. Offense is not great. They're like putting up 22 points a game, 424 on yards, and then third down conversions, they're like 100th. Red zone scoring, 111th. So on offense, they have some issues, but their defense is actually pretty decent, and I think this is where Penn State is going to be in trouble. Washington's defense is 26th in the country in points allowed, 9th in the country in yards allowed, and rushing yards, they are 67th there, so maybe Penn State can finally get that run game geared up. Washington allows $150 through the air. Washington's air defense, pass defense, is 3rd in the country. They only allow 147.5 to opponents per game. So maybe Drew Aller, I don't know. He's got no weapons. I think you got to run the ball with Aller and Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. So I'm taking Washington plus 12.5. I don't think Penn State can cover that. So take Washington. All right, now your Buckeye game. I got a bunch of bets on this one. You're going to love it. That's the nooner on Fox. Purdue 1-7, suck, and Buckeyes number 2 in the country, 7-1, 4-1 in the Big Ten. In Columbus, now Buckeyes are favored by 23.5. We ran down the keys to a Buckeye victory, the things I want to see. That's 38. Again, the first half is 23.5. Buckeyes are favored. For the game, it's 38. And I do have a couple player props here. Now, the Boilers, these guys on offense, they're like 125th in the country in most categories, 88th in running the ball. Throwing the ball, they're 120th. They cannot do shit on offense. Third down conversions, 120th. Red zone scoring, 97th. So I'm looking for a shutout here, honestly. So let's put their offense aside. With Buckeye defense, top 5 in all categories. Opponent points per game, they're 3rd. Yards per game, 2nd. Yards per play, 3rd. Red zone scoring, 4th. They only allow scoring in the red zone 65% of the time. The Buckeye run defense, 6th in the country in yards. The pass defense, 6th in yards allowed through the year. So I think turnovers are going to be a problem. Purdue's 108th in turnover margin, and this Buckeye offense, they're going against this Purdue defense. The Buckeye offense is top 10 in all categories, except for rushing yards. They're 34th. But anyway, the Purdue defense is 130th in everything. So this is going to be a sandblasting, whitewash, whatever you want to call it. So I'm taking the Buckeyes minus 23.5 for the first half and minus 38 for the game. I know it's aggressive. It's a huge spread. The weather looks good, though. Little to no wind. I think the high is like in the 60s for Columbus, so going to be a lovely day. Get out there if you're in town. Now, 2 of my player props here. Quinshawn Judkins over 88.5 rush yards, and Travion Henderson over 67.5 rushing yards for the game. So I think they're going to, like I mentioned in the keys, they're going to run the shit out of the ball, get that O-line established. These guys are going to cave in that Purdue defense, and Quinshawn Trey are going to run wild, and then James Peoples is going to come in. He's going to run wild too. So take your Buckeyes as early and often. All right, let's get to your comments and questions here. Well, PC, you're all alone. Jesus, what the hell's going on in here? We do have a watcher on Instagram. All right, appreciate you. Quiet Friday evening. All right, PC, let's pop them up here. PC says, hey, Joe, go Bucks. Good to see you, PC. Been a little while. PC says, shouldn't be a very tough game, but you have to enjoy every single snap. The season's flying by, and it'll be gone before you know it. We know it. Yeah. Again, if the Buckeyes get where they want to go, 9 more games, man. Chip them off. It is going by fast, though. So many predictions, so many hot takes I had before the season. Where'd they all go? PC says, popcorn on the ceiling crumbles and falls down. Orange peel is much better. All right. Speaking with some ceiling knowledge. Makes sense. How often do you touch the ceiling? What are you, like 8 feet tall? I don't touch the ceiling. I'm like 6 feet tall. I can jump and touch it. I'd probably roll my ankle on the way down and end up in the hospital. But yeah, so yeah, we went orange peel. Living life on the edge. You got to change it up, PC. You know that. More than anybody. PC says, this week I want to see more of K-Mac, Curry, Edric Houston, and Arvell. I agree with all of those. Yeah, show me all of those guys. Yeah, we need to dig into the 3 deep here in this game. There's no excuse for it. Should have the starters out by first series of the second half. Ryan Day likes to let the offense get one series in the third quarter coming out of half, and then get everybody out. Same for the defense, man. PC says, not to mention James Peoples. I really love that kid. He's going to dominate in the next couple of years. Exactly. Yeah. Red shirt, be damned. Get him out there. We are going to need him immediately. He needs to be ready. Hit the ground running, no pun intended, week 1 next year. Next up, PC says, Miami's fraudulent. Indiana isn't fraudulent, but they've not seen anything like the Buckeyes. They will be humbled quickly during that game. I agree. They have not seen, neither team has seen anybody like the Buckeyes. And I agree. I think Miami and Indiana are both fraudulent. I mean, just looking at their schedules, I mean, just the ACC alone, man. Seriously, Miami? Are you kidding me, Pam? Yeah, I'm with you there, PC. I can't argue with that. All right, PC's up next again. He says, I think the Cheaters get jobbed by Indiana. That one will be fun to watch. A good game to scout, too. But there's no Buckeye Connor Stallions. Exactly. It will be fun to watch. I'm going to see how Indiana attacks these guys. I think it's going to be through the air. Like I said, going through the stats, Indiana's, Rourke, I know he played in the MAC, but he's lighting people up, man. They got weapons, too. Now, let's see how many of these 3 stars can play like 5 stars going against the likes of the Cheaters and the Buckeyes. The Cheaters, say what you want, but they are tough in the trenches. They are tough there. And they got a tight end, so let's see if Indiana can cover Colston Loveland. Hopefully they can, because I got the under on the Michigan quarterback. PC says, you're right about Indiana's opponent. They all sucked, and Nebraska had a terrible day. Yeah. I don't know what happened to Nebraska. They fell off a freaking cliff, But they're building something there. Give them another year or so. They got a freshman quarterback. I don't care who he is, how many stars he was. You're going to have those freshman moments, those freshman headaches, and he's going to get messed up in front of a shit O-line, So, yeah, Indiana's schedule, weak as fuck. PC says, I feel terrible for FSU. They're down bad. What happened to those guys? I don't know, man. Good thing they signed that Norvell to a big contract, huh? He's got like a big buyout now. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. Maybe he is a fraud, too. Maybe. Just because he coached at Memphis, coached well at Memphis, that's supposed to give you a, top 20 job. Yeah, anyway, they are down bad. The portal giveth and the portal taketh away. When all they probably should have reloaded through the portal when all their last year's portal guys left for the NFL, Got to repeat the cycle or start recruiting. Oh, Stephen Cherry's in. He says, Joe, go Bucks. Good to see you, Stephen Cherry. Stephen Cherry says 56-7 Buckeyes over Purdue. Like it. Big money, big money. Stephen Cherry says, get Julian reps, second half, no more Devin Brown, please. It's funny how a lot of people have turned on Devin Brown. He hasn't even played much, But, yeah, you're going to see a lot of Julian saying. I don't know if he's going to leapfrog Devin Brown and get in there ahead of Devin, but I think you're going to see at least 3 quarterbacks for the Buckeyes. I would like to see, and winding down the season here, the regular season, I would like to see some Aaron Nolan for once. What's that guy up to? Do you want to see some Lincoln Keenholes, maybe? I don't know. Screw it. Put him out there for, a drive or 2. But I agree, Steven, you are going to see them. PC says, I have 3 boys, and they play ball in the house. 3 boys can bring down some popcorn for sure. Ah, I see. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I've done that. When I was a kid, I used to beat the piss out of the ceiling. Yeah. Yeah, let's play catch in the living room. Oops, another hole in the ceiling. Yeah. Steven says, Kate McDonald's reminds me of Warren Sapp. He does have that quick step, man. The way he blew up that center against Penn State, he was the first man in there. Stood that dude up on third down, man. K-Mac, you gotta get him in there. I want to see more of him. As we wind it down here to 5:30. PC says Miami should have 2 or 3 losses by now. That UCLA game was close. Yeah. Can't explain it, man. I can't explain it. But we'll see. We'll see. Somebody's got to trip them up, right? I mean, somebody has to get Miami. Maybe they'll lose in the ACC championship. Never know. PC says, I hope you guys are all recovered from the hurricanes. Yeah, our neighborhood still looks like a war zone, but everybody's stuff, their kitchen countertops and cabinets and mattresses and everything is still laying in the streets. So waiting for the city to come and pick all that shit up. So it looks horrible on the outside. Everybody on the first floor, thank God we're on the second, but everybody on the first floor that got flooded had to just rip all their shit out, drywall and everything, down to the studs. So all their shit is now just along the street side. But yeah, we're getting there. Luckily, this last hurricane that just whizzed by us took a left, so doing good there. And we only got like 3 more weeks of hurricane season. Goes to the 30th of November, so lucky us. Drives me to drinking. Anyway, all right, 5:30. I got to pour a drink and get ready for this Buckeye game tomorrow. So I hope you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Me and Jeff, at least, will be back on Sunday night. Not sure about Sean, but anyways, we will have a live show right here, 7:30 Eastern. Hope to see you there, and I'll talk to you later. Go Bucks.